Hello, welcome to my third week update. I've been pretty busy with a lot of things for my final major project. For my EP, we've been in the studio at Camden Garden Studios. For the live sessions, I managed to secure 2 of the 3 bands that I want for the day. I've also managed to secure the time, and I've had a few problems with the third artist spotlight section, but I will get into that. So firstly, I'd like to start with the EP. The recordings of drums and bass came out really well. I'm really happy with them, and I'd just like to go through a little rundown of what we used on the day for the drum kit and the bass guitar. There are quite a few differences in the way that we recorded drums in the end, just in the way that the studio was already set up. Microphones are usually kept around the drum kit instead of setting up as you get there. We didn't really change anything apart from the style of cymbals we were using and the snare drum, as we thought that the snare drum that was with the kit as we came in wasn't the right sound for us. So firstly, we started off with the kick in, which is a D112, a kick out, which was the AKG C414. Snare top was a Bayer Dynamic 201. We had a side snare, which was the Electro Voice 635A. We had a snare bottom, which was just a Shure SM58. And then we had 2 mid-kit microphones. One of them was an Octaver ML19. The second one was an RCA Veracoustic. For rack and floor toms, we went with what I said, which was Sennheiser MD421s. For the hi-hat was another Bayer Dynamic 201. The overheads were a pair of Coles 4038s. Room 1 and 2 are nondescript vintage microphones which I couldn't find the names of. I managed to take footage of most of the performances that we did, so I can put a little montage. It wasn't too long a day, which was really good. We managed to really smash out a lot of it. It really helped making a tempo map before I went in, so I could just hand over the files to the guy running the session and just have the project ready as soon as we got there. It saved so much time in the studio that we managed to get all 3 songs, drums and bass, done in 8 hours with a lunch break, obviously. I was really happy with how the drum sounds came out as well as the bass sounds. They require minimal production on the other end, which is my favourite thing. Bass, I just ended up putting an Ampeg SVT plugin on the end. Not actually miking up the bass while we were there, and more just putting it through a preamp and recording it that way. So the actual setup of what we used on Monday was all of us in the room together. We had mic'd up both the guitars as well and got a guide vocal before we started recording drums. I booked another day of guitar recording on the 28th of October to finish off both mine and the other guitarist's electric guitars, and then all we'll have to do is the vocals after that with synthesizers, which we don't have to be in a studio for. I'm really excited to finish these songs off. It's so nice to actually hear all 3 of the songs together. So for the NMG sessions, I managed to finally secure Afterdrive, as well as another band, an alternative acoustic band called Fran Lusty. I managed to get Tim, who I'm partnering up with the NMG sessions, to email them both, and they both happily accepted, which was amazing. I was so happy with that. The only question that came up was rights, because I hadn't considered it yet. I came to the conclusion that they can have the footage and the audio, they can have any files they like, as long as they gave me permission to use excerpts in a YouTube update like this. I feel like that's fair. It is their music. I don't feel like I would have any use for the music or the video after it's done. I think it's way better in their hands and for them to use for advertising purposes over me. Like having the footage in excerpts and being able to display the content I've created on their pages is enough for me to be happy. I also got in contact with the graphic designer from NMG, and they're going to give me the graphics and all the moving graphics that I can add to the footage and when I'm editing this footage that I'll be creating. I'm still thinking about the setup which I'm going to have for the 13th of January. I feel like I have an idea in my head of what I want, but I will end up making a track list and kind of production lists of what I want going to where and what channels and what outboard gear I want to use on what. It's going to be an interesting challenge because of how much sound is going to be in one room, and being able to kind of split it up nicely without too much bleed. Like, live performance is always going to have bleed, and it's good to be there because it makes it feel a bit more lifelike. But how can I keep it to a minimum where it doesn't get too distracting from track to track? I still need to talk to the motor show about coming and doing a live session as well, but I've got plenty of time. Maybe even 2 acts is enough, I'm not sure yet. I'm also in conversation with one of the camera crew that I've got. They are a set designer by profession, so I want to have a good chat with them about how we could lay out the background and the set of the live sessions to look as interesting as possible, just to complement the kind of music that we will be recording, you know. And lastly, I'd just like to talk about the artist spotlight. I had some problems. I was going to start interviewing Nutribullet, the artist, this week, but due to the flooding everywhere in kind of Derbyshire, she was stuck in Chesterfield for the week. We didn't manage to get together and record the section that I wanted to do, but it's still plenty of time, you know, there is leeway with all these things. I'm still thinking about the questions that I'm going to ask and the pacing. Due to being so busy with other projects, it's been really hard to really commit as much as I wanted to this past week on the other aspects other than the EP that I'm going to be producing. Like, the balance has been really difficult this week. I'm feeling optimistic. I'm kind of looking forward to doing something with Lumix and also just furthering the conversation with the bands on the NMG sessions. I don't think there's much more I can say really. What are my goals for next week? By next week, I want to be able to say I've confirmed the motor show for the NMG sessions. I'd like to say I've completed all the guitar recordings for the EP, and hopefully schedule in the next recording for the vocals and anything extra. I'd like to have the questions perfected for the interview with Nutribullet, and also the vibe of the music that she wants. I'd love to be getting on with that. With other commitments, I've got other coursework to do as well, which I'm working on. So the process of everything has been a bit slower than I'd like it to be. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble on my 3rd week update. I hope it was helpful. See you next week. Thanks.